Why, hello, and welcome to issue 659 of Geek in the City Radio. I am Aaron Duran, coming to you live from the Guardian Games Studios.
I'm your other host, Mouth Noises Beanarita.
Is this what we're doing this time?
And phone noises.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashitani.
Really? We spent
There were so many other things going on.
45 minutes setting up, and you forgot to unmute your phone.
I was focused on you and your troubles.
No, that's not going to work.
Cords and
That's not going to work at all.
microphones.
There's going to be more troubles because I'm going to try to do something with my mic
Oh god!
here.
Oh god!
Oogity boogity.
Yep. And
So-
that's when the podcast suddenly ended.
So it turns out that pulling all your equipment out of your house and bringing it to a room to be together has an adjustment period.
Yeah, you guys forgot how fun this was to do, huh?
Yee, sort of. Yeah.
Once we get our legs under us, our sea legs, and it'll just be like it'll be so simple.
It'll be like old times there.
Well, no, the old times were also flawed.
Yes, this is also true.
I'm not going to go into details, but
Everything has its stuff.
yes,
It's
that's true.
pros and cons. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh my god, it has been a week, and it is only Tuesday for me.
That has been my refrain for a month, going on a month and a half. Is every Tuesday I go, wow, what a week. Just so someone can go, it's Tuesday, Lemon.
It's Tuesday, Lemon. Yes.
Is it you? Are you the one saying it's
Yes,
Tuesday Lemon?
I am. My inner Jack Donovan. I don't have an inner Jack Donovan. I have an outer Jack Donovan. Let's be blunt and truthful.
Yes. I've only seen like 3 episodes of 30 Rock.
Yeah, then you've seen them all.
All right, good to know. Booyah.
It's a harsh criticism.
I mean, that's kind of what I figured.
I didn't click with
Mm.
30 Rock the way that I clicked with Parks and Rec. And I think it's because Parks and Rec is kind, and at its core, kindness is where its comedy comes from. And with 30 Rock, mean-spirited teasing is where their comedy comes from.
I had never really dissected them in that way, but you're absolutely right. There is no real evolution to the characters or the arcs of the people in 30 Rock like there is in Parks and Rec.
No, in Parks and Rec, they teach you how to deal with depression by making puppets. Because, be honest, would a depressed person make this? Sorry, there's my hole. I really loved that show. It's
Parks
really
and Rec.
good.
I did
Yeah.
too. The first season's rough, but the first season almost every show was rough.
The first season, it was trying to be The Office, and
Which I don't like.
oh, I can't watch The Office either.
Yeah.
I can watch clips of The Office now. I started watching the first season and made it to the HR meeting
Mm-hmm.
for sensitivity training. And I went, okay, I'm out. I am done. And everyone's like, but it's so hilarious. It's like, I work in an office with these fucking people. I am not at all going to watch a show about this.
Mm.
It's like, but that's what makes it funny. It's like, so you sit through a shitty office job all day long and then go home to watch it on TV to laugh?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
No, that makes sense. Like if you find it relatable and you have a shitty office job with like dipshit coworkers, sometimes all you can do is laugh, right? And at least in this setting, it's not you actually having to pick up the pieces of whatever dumbassery your manager does.
Yeah, but
you can just sit back and laugh because that is not your circus, not your monkeys, like it is during the day.
I think though that
By the way, the
That's
new
great.
USB preamp, I can program sound effects.
I
That's
like
good.
how you chose not to tell us that
yeah,
ahead of time.
it's more surprising. It's funny that way. I
I
do
gotta
agree
create
with that
fun
point,
ones.
but I do think that part of the problem is that everyone thinks they're Jim or Pam, not realizing that they're actually Michael or Dwight or someone even worse.
Roy.
Sure.
I know Jim, Pam, and then Steve Carell. I mean, I know some of the performers. I don't know their characters, like Mindy Kaling.
Actually, a lot of them use their real first names.
Yeah.
Oh.
Except
Oscar.
Steve Carell is Michael, and
Michael.
Rainn Wilson is Dwight.
That one, I remember that one.
So those are the only 4 that I know. Dwight and
those are the only characters who aren't using the actor's first name because those are like the key characters from the British one,
Mhm.
I believe. Don't quote me. I didn't really watch that.
But
Yeah.
I'm never gonna watch that one. That one's got Ricky
I
Gervais.
can't understand what they're saying.
I don't-
Also, Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky I've never understood the love for him. He's kind of he's not kind of. He is a colossal dick.
Yeah, I never quite got the appeal to him. I get that he is smart. He's very observant.
Of course, he tells you
Um,
all the goddamn time.
Yeah, that's true. But like, yeah, I never got the appeal to him because he's just mean
Mhm.
about it. It's also the same reason why, and this is probably going to get into a whole nother like thing. What was his name? What's it? Christopher Hitchinson. That was the we're just say hardcore atheist.
Oh, Christopher Hitchens. Yeah,
Yeah, he was a dick.
Yeah.
I don't care if I agree with him on a lot of stuff. He was a dick.
yeah. That's the problem with most known and named atheists.
Yeah.
Is they are also dicks. It's like, great. So you've basically proven that on either side of that particular aisle, once you are a known entity in that, you're a dick.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I can think of who is an atheist but not a dick is probably Stephen Fry.
Yes.
But that probably comes from the fact that we're just going all over the place. Well, we did say it was going to be a
We
banter.
said it was going to be banter.
Because I do believe Stephen Fry has been publicly outed for decades, and he's probably had to deal with people being assholes to him. So he's like, well, I'm not going to be that which was directed at me.
Yeah.
Or he's just kind. Something tells me that Hitchens was a dick before he became an atheist.
I believe so.
Yeah. But anyway, for those who were wondering, he's not waiting in the wings. We will not be joined by B. Dave Walters this week because, and this isn't a big secret, because he has been on Twitter posting his slow recovery since getting back from COVID. Gen Con, where he caught COVID.
Not COVID con.
Yeah. Well, aren't they all now? Yeah, I reached out to him yesterday and said, hey, I noticed on your Twitter you're still fighting this. I know you don't like to cancel things, but just
right.
FYI, don't feel bad. Yeah, don't feel bad about let's reschedule for you. Rest up because I know when you're recovering from COVID, even if you're on the upswing, literally I've heard from people that are I just sat up and tried to play video games all day and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And even now I'm reading when doctors are look, once you're over it and you feel fine, still give yourself 2 to 3 weeks of doing almost nothing because your body is still reacting to potentially long COVID. So don't push it. Unless you're the CDC, and then it's
5 days.
And even then, they're not telling you to quarantine anymore. They're just telling you fuck it, whatever.
I no longer care what the CDC tells me because they've caved to capitalist pressure.
Yeah.
Which is part of the problem because we should care what the CDC says about disease. That's the whole point of them. To jump right into, no, never mind, we're done with this. That puts us in the realm of that's precisely what the GOP wants, because then they can go, see, they were wrong all the time. Now we can defund them. And we can hire this private company who will do a much better job. And because the private sector is where all of these government things should be done. That is part and parcel the playbook for everything that they do.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a way to fix that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a few ways, but only one of us doesn't get us on a FBI list.
Correct.
And they're busy. I don't want to distract them right now.
They are busy. Good for them.
Yeah, good times.
I mean, I know ACAB and all that, but good for them.
Yeah, well, broken clock is right twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So yeah, we're gonna reschedule with B Dave. I'm not sure when, because we are getting into our busy season.
Yes, we are.
But also, he hosts a lot of horror RPGs, so it might be a good time just to.
I also would say bring him in October then.
Yeah, it'd be cool. So yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, so I'm saying that's why I came to staff. I want to go into our Rose City Comic Con. I don't know if I'm going either because I think I made the organizers angry because I kept calling them out for not inviting me, which I know, I will admit, is a total egotistical dick move. But they are inviting people that haven't put out anything new in like a decade as special guests. And I'm like, literally, hometown writer with a hometown publisher with a comic that takes place in the hometown.
And it's doing gangbusters.
And it's doing really fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sure, don't invite me. And then some fans, bless them, jumped on to yeah, how come you haven't invited Aaron?
So
jerks. By the way, just for folks to know, don't go after the people who you think it is because they don't own Rose City anymore. It's not Ron and Mikey. They already feel bad enough that I have been invited, and I'm like, dude, it's not your guys' fault. It's not your company.
Right.
Don't feel bad for this, man.
It's run by Repop.
No, it's not.
No, not run by Repop. Who is it?
Left Hand Media,
right.
Left something Media.
Right.
Which sounds like it should be a really cool occult group. Left Hand,
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not.
So here's the thing that I know you and I are prone to hearkening back to back in the day when we did stuff.
when we did stuff,
we were perfect and everything was done right. That is not.
No,
that's completely wrong. You just asked Bill Mudrin about the shouting match that we got into the day before. That was totally my fault, and I apologized to him in front of as many people as I could because I was in the wrong. But that's one of those things you have to learn to admit. If you were in charge of a thing and you fuck up, you need to be public about the fact that I fucked up. This is my fault.
Yeah.
But when you go to things like conventions, when they're dumb about who should come to the show and who should we invite, I think that we had that same problem. I got a list from the board, and I started going through that list and got crickets. Nothing. I got nothing from nobody.
From the board or from people you reached out to?
Artists and writers for guests. Hey, we're doing Stumptown. It's going to be your 10th anniversary. We'd love it if you were there. Nothing.
Yeah, but then they get really hurt if you don't.
I got nothing for a week and a half. 2 weeks. And Merrick, who wisely said, hey, you've read this book. You like this person's work. They're doing this. Fuck it. If no one's replying to you, reach out to him. It's well, okay. And I reached out to a writer that barely anyone had heard of.
And that man's name was Jesus Christ.
That man's name was Alish Kott.
Oh, yeah, I remember when we invited him.
And Alish Kott. So this is my long way of getting to the lesson of who should be in charge of your guests at your show.
Yes.
Because Merrick recommended someone who was not yet established, but had the talent, had everything that they needed. It was, reach out to them. And they, I emailed him at 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And expecting to maybe get a response the following day. I ended up in a 2-hour email conversation with him at that time.
Because he's I was gonna say, I guarantee they don't sleep much.
Oh yeah. He's are you fucking kidding me? Yes, I'd love to do this. It's cool.
I think it's they.
Are they now?
I think.
Okay. It's been years since I've seen Alish.
That's the safest way to go anyway.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
So Alish, that conversation with Alish is what built the guest list.
We did have a lot of new people.
They were all new.
And what did we make? people that were always expected to be invited angry.
Mm-hmm. But those people were also invited.
Yeah, no, I know.
Every single one of them. And some of them did say, yes, we'll show up for that.
Mhm.
But like, that's how we got Ming Doyle. That's how we got Becky Cloonan. That's how we got Cena Grace.
Justin Jordan.
Yeah, Justin Jordan. And Trad Moore. Jesus. Trad
Man,
Moore.
we had like a murderer's row of 2010s comic creators.
Oh, it was 2013.
Well, I mean, like that era.
Yeah. Because the following year, every single one of the guests were working at DC or Marvel on high-end projects. Riley Rossmo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all of these folks. I think Riley Rossmo was that suggestion came from Jim Valentino. He's like, "Hey, I got this kid."
Yeah.
And I went, "Okay, done."
That was a show where Riley gave me permission to use any of his characters in a book I was working on at the time, and vice versa. He's like, "Can I play with him?" I'm like, yeah, okay.
So the lesson is find people who are looking for something new in comics. Like Merrick knew all of these names because she was actively working at Bridge City,
Right.
And was going, I'm not reading everything that DC and Marvel puts out. I'm looking for everything else that's interesting. So every time I came back to her with a name, it's like, oh yeah, they do this and this. They're great. Oh yeah, they do this book. That was fantastic. I'm like, cool. I'm not in the know. So
Right.
if you say these people are good, then I'm inviting them.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do in comics is the person who's working logistics for guests, reach out to the new people, get new butts from seats.
From what I can see, and again, this is just cementing Rose City not wanting to get their show. They're reaching out and probably spending money on like big names. Like we're getting Jim Lee.
Yep.
I don't know if Jim Lee does appearances for free.
No.
I kind of doubt it.
Why would he?
I wouldn't. If I was Jim Lee, I wouldn't do appearances.
He's
for
a
free.
top executive at DC Comics and Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and the dude draws a splash page, and it's like, here's $20K.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking him. He did a lot of really great charity work during COVID too. Like that dude was a charity drawn beast.
There's only one founding member of Image that I will ever throw a flack at. So, and it's not Jim Lee.
You got a cool name.
Fuck that guy.
So that was a long way back to say I don't know if I'll be going to Rose City either. They are enforcing the masks and vaccines, so that's a something.
That's great.
That's a something.
That is great. They didn't do that last year, did they?
Yes,
They did,
Okay.
but only after Metro forced their hand.
Right. So that's
But about 3 months or so ago, they sent out a questionnaire to anyone that was on their mailing list saying, you know, would you be more strongly encouraged to attend if we, and then you had the drop down pick from, you know, mask optional, whatever. The cynical person in me was like, they're asking this because they're hoping that the majority says they don't care about masks. So they can say like, we asked our audience and they didn't care. We're just doing the will of the people.
Mhm.
Well, the will of the people were like, no, I want masks and vaccine cards. So, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that was still in reaction to Emerald City going, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. And I think Emerald City has tried to rescind that a bit. I think, but it's out there now.
Yeah, no, that's a genie out of the bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the toothpaste out of the tube. Yeah. Well, at least when the genie's out of the bottle, you can get something out of it. You just got to be real careful with how you word it.
right. But
There's going to be a whole movie about that.
Oh, man. Was it, 3,000 Years of Longing?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm super excited. Well, it's...
Here's the pitch. Tilda Swinton, Idris
Done.
Elba.
done.
Okay.
Idris Elba's a genie. So he's got pointy ears, which is funny.
Interesting.
And Tilda Swinton looks to be a very neurotic person that can't decide what she should use her wishes on. So he apparently tells her stories.
Yeah,
of
it feels
things that have gone wrong when people ask him of wishes.
It feels very Arabian Nights.
Yes. See also What We Do in the Shadows, where their djinn grants 52 wishes.
One a week?
You have to watch the current season.
Okay.
And what's also great is every time that djinn grants a wish, he keeps a pen on him. He goes, done.
Oh, was it a pen? I thought it was a counter.
No, it's just a
Clicky
pen
down,
because he's dressed as like a really tired bureaucrat, like a paper pusher. Because remember, he always has a clipboard on him or a notebook. He's like,
Oh, you're right. He knows what's on the notebook. He also does not keep count for you of the wishes. So if you lose count of how many wishes you've made, that's on you.
how many wishes do I have left? I can't tell you that. David. Yeah. And he is a djinn, not a genie.
Yeah, no, I caught the distinction.
They make a point that he is a djinn, not a genie. So anyway, yeah, and this is all true. You know what? Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get back to whatever the hell else we're going to talk about. On Geek and Sea Radio, live from Guardian Games. Oh, we're back. I mean, one day we might actually have pre-recorded commercials that we can all get up and grab something and rush back or whatever, but we'll see. If you would like to sponsor the show, drop us an email at gitcradio@gmail.com. Do it.
Sponsors.
Yeah, I know. It'd be good.
What sponsors do we want?
Man, I'll take anybody right now. Also, if you're hiring, you can send an email to geekinthecity@gmail.com. Aaron needs work badly because he works in comics.
Well, you know who's advertising real hardcore? If you're really ready to take anybody, there's that app game.
Which one?
Best Fiends. Everyone is advertising for Best Fiends right now. So it's an app game.
Don't give me any more.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just bleep it out. Bleep it out later.
I thought you were gonna roll into like a fucking Behind the Bastards, and you're gonna like go into some like rant about Raytheon about shooting missilized arrows.
I'm not gonna steal another podcaster's bit, especially not if he probably has more listeners than I do.
There's no probably about it. I do believe he averages about 10 million a month. So yeah,
fuck you, Robert.
Because he gets to do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that?
Robert Evans.
I don't know.
It's a legit good show.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's really well researched and yeah, it's good.
Like I've been so far down the horror podcast rabbit hole lately that I've switched from all D&D live play to dive right back into horror.
Nice.
At work, the door to true crime podcasts has been open to me, and so that's where I'm wasting most of my time now.
White women love true crime podcasts.
Sure do.
They just live for it.
It is weirding me out because you're looking at me, I'm looking at you. Your camera is reversed. Mine is not.
So we're both looking.
The
same direction.
It looks like we're looking at the same direction, even though we're looking at one another.
Correct.
So you look away and pretend you're talking at me.
What? No, that's weird. Can I do this?
We're all together.
Boop. I'll boop that. Okay. So now
there's chaos.
Hey, look at that. Yay.
We did it.
That's weird. And I am over here alone.
Forever alone.
I can't futz with your camera. Here.
Oh, I'm so glad this new board has a mute button. Mainly for myself. Well, should we... What? Go ahead.
No, nothing. I was like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to do next time I have to sneeze?
Try to give me a heads up and hope I pick the right button.
We're going to have to figure out some sort of off-camera hand signals.
The sneeze hand.
That's not what that means, Bean.
No, that's not what that means at all.
I know. It's just like...
Oh,
I was just
really?
I was just
right
texting
now? We're doing it. It's going to be broadcast.
It's just the only thing I can ever think of whenever I think about hand signals, which is silly.
The hand jive?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Never mind. Anyway, since we're talking about gardening really quick there, the new Spelljammer came out. Adventures in Space!
Yes, it did. It's a 3-volume set with a DM's guide. It's $80. Like,
it's big, though. It's a box set.
No, I'm saying this is a good thing.
Oh, okay.
Every other box set that I've ever seen them put out starts at 100 and goes up. Every single one. This is fantastic. Oh,
that's true because the The Morning, that kit, that box set with the Mordenkainen.
Yeah.
Well, that was 3 books though.
It is. So is Spelljammer. They're smaller books.
Okay.
But I think that they're basically, what does it say, the MSRP? Oh, wait, I forgot it's WotC. WotC doesn't believe in MSRPs. WotC, if you would like for me to be personally less pissy about you and your business practices, sponsor Geek in the City Radio.
Or just hire Aaron every time he applies for a job that he knows he'd be really good at. Also, WotC is like always has like 50 job openings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they ever actually hire anybody. I think HR just creates job openings to justify their job.
That may or may not be true. There's also a lot of internal movement that you have to create those postings for.
Just saying.
Like I know a guy.
True, you can't
I know another guy. I know 2 guys. Okay, we'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't make a requisition without a job description. So.
That's true. Just saying. It's all the time.
Anyway, Spelljammer.
Also, add on MSRPs.
Yes. But yeah, the 3 books are, what are the 3 books?
Astral Adventurer's Guide, a 64-page hardcover book for players and dungeon masters that presents the astral plane as a campaign setting and includes space-based character options, spells, and magic items, deck plans, and descriptions for spell jamming, chips, and more. I really did not think that was going to be one massive sentence.
It's almost as if someone at WotC might need a copy editor. You know who would be a great copy editor? Aaron Duran.
That sounds like a good idea.
This has just become, let's get Aaron a job, the podcast. Which is totally fine. I mean, I'm here for it.
Last year was my turn, so
sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you
I've been employed here for 8.5 years, so I'm good.
If you all want to have this podcast continue to exist, Aaron needs a job.
Or
to put out books, anything.
Or there's one other option. What's the price tag to fund the show? All 3 of us paid.
Oh, like we don't have to do anything else ever again?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys need a month to live?
No. Well, I no longer price myself to live. I just,
well, you know what I mean.
I just give you my price, my cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to factor in that it is a small business. It's got to do its own thing.
Mm-hmm. So come up with that number.
Okay.
We'll talk about it in future shows. If there's, maybe that's how we start going, this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is our job.
Just put a price tag on it.
Put a price tag on it.
A good start. Honestly, I just ran quick numbers in my head for all 3 of us and paying for the show. $25,000 a month.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. There it is. That's what it would take.
Somebody write that down.
Because FYI, people that are like, oh, you've got to, you have like a major, yeah. I've had people who say like, well, why is it so like rough? You've got a major book out. How's that doing? I was like, it's doing well. This is not like throwing shade on any publisher. This is just unfortunately the nature of comics. I haven't received any money for Season the Bruja since December of 2020. That is when I turned in the last part of my script and I got the last of my advance. And then I haven't seen a dime since then. It came out in March of this year. Mm-hmm. I finally got sales numbers on issue 1, which were really great. And I'm sure some people are like, don't talk about this. Actually, comic people, you need to start talking about this. Quit being quiet about it.
We are in the era of the worker. Everybody should talk to everybody else about what they make and how much and why.
Yeah,
Yes.
And again, I'm not annoyed at Oni. I actually know that I have a pretty good deal for a, quote, first-time creator. I'm really not. Like, I'm actually very impressed and happy with my deal. But it is the nature of comics publishing. Advances are very, very small, unless you're at a certain level, like a Jim Lee or a Kelly Sue or a Bendis or a Ruck. You've got to be like in the top 5% of creators to get decent advances and page rates, stuff like that. And again, I'm not mad. That's just the nature of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then, much like other publishing, the creators of the book do not get paid until the publisher begins to make its money back.
Mhm.
Oni Press has a significant amount of money into Season of the Bruja because everyone got paid page rates and all that stuff. The cost of publishing, the cost of marketing, all those things are factored into its costs. It has to make all of that back before residuals begin to happen. Issue 1 did very well. I know just by the nature of how comics work, there is a slight chance that on single issues alone, it will cover costs, which means if there are going to be residuals, I won't see them until 90 days after the first trade comes out in December.
Yep.
That's a long time to go without a paycheck.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm not saying I haven't done other things, but that is how comics work. Yes. Yeah, Bex. Yeah. It's a rough fucking business. No one does comics because they want to make money. We all do it because we love the medium. So when you hear articles about it being big business, it is, but not for 90% of the people who make them. Well, almost all of us have second and third jobs and are hustling to try to maybe do, especially if you're a writer, like 3 separate titles plus probably 2 day jobs.
Yep. Which you shouldn't have to do.
Yeah. And also we're all freelance. We don't have healthcare.
Yep.
We have none of that.
If you're a fan of comics and you really want to support the people that work in comics, start putting, as the consumer, start putting pressure on these companies to get healthcare, to get insurance, get better pay rates.
Or put pressure on some of the other, like the Writers Guild or whatever, or IATSE or whatever. Let us join. We're not allowed to join.
Yep. You're not allowed to be a union.
We're not.
Yep.
We can't join them. And we are actually, it is against the law for freelance writers to form a union.
Yep.
If you're not already in, yeah. So we can't even get like a union healthcare.
Yep.
Yeah, we get nothing. Comics rule.
Yep. To go back to the price tag that you put out for the show.
Yeah.
I would also want to break this down for people too. So $25,000 a month. That sounds like a lot of money.
It sure does. It is.
That's $300,000 a year.
That also sounds like a lot of money.
It does. Let's say $150,000 of that is show operational costs. That's half.
That's exactly what it would be, because the show would have to pay its own taxes.
Yep.
All of that.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
That would then mean the 3 of us would gross each $50,000 a year, which is still not a lot of money.
Yeah,
that is not
that's
buying
gross.
A yacht.
Then take 23% off the $50,000. That is what we would roughly net.
Let's find that. So, like, I always like doing these mathematics to show people. It's like, this is like when you throw a number at people, they're like, oh, that's a lot. It's like, no, it's not. It is this. That is what this comes down to. And then you go, oh, yeah. It's like $50,000 a year is a living wage.
If that was your net, not your gross.
Yeah.
If you were netting $50,000 a year, you can afford a studio apartment in Gresham in the metro area.
That's
Just trying to like do some math.
And we're not trying to be like all like downer and stuff, but I think there's this impression that if you do this stuff, it's just you must be doing it, so you must be enduring. And like you don't know that. Again, I don't want to speak out of. He's been really public about this, and I could get the dates wrong. But Jim Zub, comic book writer, I really like. Really good guy, does a lot of great comics. I don't think he stopped his day jobs until maybe a couple years ago when he finally felt comfortable not being a lawyer, I believe, and/or law professor.
Jeez. Okay.
And he's been writing comics for I think over a decade.
Yeah.
And he writes fun books.
He does.
Really fun books. I like almost everything he writes. By the way, Google Jim Zub if you're curious about the business of comic writing. He's made so much stuff for free on his blog, and he has so many tips. It's like priceless how many tips and advice he gives. And it's very much like, I'm not trying to discourage you, but like, here's the truth.
Oh, after taxes, that's $38,000 a year.
Okay.
It's not a lot.
No.
Yeah. It's $3,000 a month. Barely, right?
No.
Never mind. You're right. Boy, math hard.
Well, yeah. No, you're right. It's about $3,200 a month. So.
Yeah.
I'm doing other math in my head.
Yeah. So anyway, well, no, I'm sorry. We're making you feel like you're a home ec. But if only American economics classes did more than teach us how to write checks.
You learned how to write checks in home ec?
That's all. Not home ec, but like economics. We didn't have home ec anymore. They got rid of it.
I learned to write checks in home ec.
Yeah. They didn't teach us actual budgeting. They just taught us how to write a check.
I
and
also
to balance our checking account.
At what age or what grade?
I was in middle school and high school.
Yeah, 8th grade to freshman year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Bear in mind, I learned how to do this in the Stone Age. So, like,
are significantly
back
older than
when
me.
checks were the common currency.
No. I'm not
outside
saying the
cash.
thing about checks is weird.
Oh,
I'm saying I learned how to write a check when I was like 8.
good.
Maybe like 10.
In school?
But it was elementary school. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no.
Yeah. We actually like made our own checkbooks out of construction paper and then learned how to balance a checkbook.
Oh yeah, no,
My
I was
parents
I was in the
would've
8th
taught me
grade for
that.
that.
Weird.
Yeah.
That seems. I don't know. I mean, like, people aren't even going to write a check anymore.
And
But
by the
you
way,
should still know how to balance a checkbook.
that was
because it's the same money.
Yeah, that was the extent of our economics, by the way.
Is how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah, that was it. There was no talk
Or how to
about
write the check.
how to write the check
Okay.
and then to track it.
Right. Okay.
Because it was simple mathematics. Like, why would you have to teach that?
I mean,
Subtraction.
there are a lot of people, even my age, who don't know how to do that. So it is important to know how. Obviously, the check part less important nowadays.
Sure.
But the how to balance your bank account, very important.
No. What they should be teaching you is how the banks are going to try and screw you.
Oh yes.
They don't teach that.
Sure.
Nope.
They just teach you how to be a very good cog in a machine to continue to produce and consume. Boy, I'm just getting all like grr.
Oh, Bex also learned this in elementary. So
Yeah.
I guess they just changed when they thought you needed to know how to do that.
I guess so. Although when you two were in elementary school, well, no, Bex is, I think, between us in years. We're the same age.
I always thought Bex was about my age.
Okay. She always teased me about this. In my head, Bex is eternally younger.
We'll leave it up to her if she wants to tell us how old she is.
Yeah, but when you
I've
guys
never
were
met her. I've only
when you
seen
guys
her
were in
through the
elementary
internet.
school, I probably was in. Because we're 8 years apart.
84.
Yeah, 76.
That's
8 years.
8 years. Yeah.
Okay, I was out of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were
I'm
graduating
13.
when
Okay.
I was in
Okay.
8th grade.
13 years.
Anyway, so
You were well out of high school.
this is a long way to say that me saying that.
All right.
Don't make it gross.
This is a long.
Although that does remind me of one of the things we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
we'll roll into that in just a minute. I was about to say this is a long way to say that, like, when I quoted $25,000 a month to run the show, people were like, "Are you fucking nuts?"
It does sound like a lot of money, but we also live in an expensive world.
Yeah,
It's a country.
yeah. And again, if this show made enough that this is all we had to do, this is clearly not all we would do. Everyone would love to have us do more events. We could host the streaming stuff that we've always wanted to do. Like, we could have a Wednesday night streamed D&D, like all the things people think that we should do, that they would love us to do.
We'd probably have a more structured show because we'd have more time to
You have
dedicate
time to plan it.
planning
Every
those.
time I'm like, you guys should do what like Critical Hit are doing and, what the Adventure Zone are doing. I'm like, yeah, those are all heavily financially backed shows.
They do have another advantage, especially the Adventure Zone. I'm gonna not to put the McElroys on blast. I don't know them personally. I would love to. I love their show, love their work,
Big fan.
There are times that Clint will just say things and I'm like, oh God, man, can you stop being such an old man? Also, I'm the only one that got that joke. Fuck. So, but they are part of a larger network, and that network has a pledge drive every year.
Right.
So, like, there are ways that people are out there making a living off of this, which is why whenever we talk to anyone that works in podcasting and we say, oh yeah, Geek in the City has been around for 17 years, their jaw hits the fucking floor.
Yeah.
Because you, Aaron Duran, have kept this going for that amount of time.
Such a masochist.
Without, well, yes, but also
That's neither here nor there.
that, like, you have a. We've been talking about you. You and I have been talking about you a lot lately. However,
maybe because you get the really long rants out of me at like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, mother.
Yep. And I'm there for you, man. Like, you have been there for me. You have been there for me. Like, I'm there for either one of you at any, like, it's like, hi, I need a thing. I'm there. I'll be right there.
Right.
But you love what you do.
Yeah.
So much. And it doesn't matter what that is that you are doing. You love it. And then that just, you can't quit.
No.
And it's
And
not.
I'll be honest, there have been times I have wanted to be like, I'm fucking done with this show.
Yeah.
Because no one, whatever.
At some point, we're going to be too old, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Like, can we really continue to talk about pop culture after a certain age? Or should we be like passing the torch? You know?
I actually had a conversation with Prime in his kitchen, in Aaron's kitchen, about that same thing, where it's neuter. She's gonna sneeze. She gave you the signal. The signal is.
The signal is finger hitting my mustache, apparently.
Finger nose.
Yeah, except for like now I've called attention to it and I scared it away.
Yeah, that's how that works. Now you're gonna sneeze all over us.
I know.
It's fantastic. It's fine. The halon will drop from the ceiling for COVID protocols.
Mm-hmm.
That's a joke. Anyway, no, I was talking to Prime about the fact that we were talking about younger generations, and like I said, look, in my 40s is when I realized that I had moved out of you're no longer Buffy. Like, you are Buffy Summers from like your teenage years through your 20s, sometimes maybe into your early 30s. Once you pass the 40 mark, you are Giles.
Yeah, Giles is cooler anyway.
But your job is no longer, I am the chosen one. I am the one that needs to fix this. Your job is to help the chosen one. And that is, as we get older, that is our job.
Sure.
So
you're saying we should quit?
No, I'm not saying we should quit.
Good night, everybody.
I am saying that just because we get older doesn't necessarily mean that we are aged out of doing things like this. We can still have relevant opinions and different takes on how pop culture is affecting us and our society and various cultures. And I think it comes down to, are we also willing to grow and be connected to the changes that are happening, that are often driven by youth, but not only. Youth by itself should not be a virtue, which we'll also get into the.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get it.
No, we keep teasing this. We should probably.
But yeah. So anyway, that's.
Speaking of,
it's a little bit behind the curtain there.
Yeah. Sorry.
All this to say.
Spelljammer looks cool.
Spelljammer does look cool.
You can be a space monkey, or you can actually play like living goo.
Here's my favorite thing about the new Spelljammer, and I found this out when they were running kids camp last week, and I was talking about it with the DMs. I'm like, look, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know anything about Spelljammer.
I don't watch movies.
I don't watch movies. I say that to so many people, and they're just like, what? It's like, never mind. I don't even remember what's that from at this point.
It's from Clerks. It's not even like one of the bigger lines of Clerks, but it's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hit the video search. Are these any good? I don't know.
I don't watch movies.
It's one of the best deliveries in the whole movie.
But Spelljammer in the old days, old Spelljammer was very pirate focused and Corsair and
Yes.
swashbuckling adventures, which also meant a lot of violence. New Spelljammer is Starfleet.
Yep.
It is focused.
I've even read a review of like how can you play. You can now play Star Trek in D&D.
Yeah. It is designed to be focused on education and exploration and finding new life and new civilizations and not killing them.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get your pirate fight on.
Yeah.
Like
there's still plenty of room in D&D for murder hobos. Also, stop being murder hobos. Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spelljammer, go get it.
I'm gonna after this show.
If you're in Portland, get it from Guardian Games. We have so many copies of the shiny special edition cover.
Dude, that cover's so pretty, and one of them has the giant space hamster.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
The other has the giant space hippo.
Would that be Boo's Astral Menagerie?
It is
Mhm,
Boo's
that's Boo.
Astral Menagerie.
Boo is
Boo?
from second edition
I
too.
don't know Boo.
Minsk and Boo. It's a barbarian and his pet hamster.
That Jim Zub has written comics about.
That's the only reason I know who Minsk and Boo are.
Yeah.
Is because of Jim Zub's D&D comics.
Yep. And Boo is an old school D&D second edition. It's not a newish thing. He's been around for a while. And creepy ass illithid ships with flying Nautilus.
Yep. Yeah, I think that one of the DMs threw a fucking mind flayer at the campers last week. I'm like, it is Tuesday, my dude. Why did you bring a mind flayer into this?
Kids gotta grow up sometime.
That's a hell of a way to get kids to grow up.
Nice. Well,
Yeah,
speaking about, we just keep segueing this. Speaking of not giving people enough time to grow up.
Okay, so let's
Well, let's
start with the Orville,
New Horizons.
New Horizons, and the Orville in general,
which we were all pretty excited about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I still am.
Mostly. I know that you and I both had that sort of like, well, if you can't get name brand generic, we'll do vibe. But we did still want to watch it.
Yeah, and
maybe not as excited as we had been the first time the Orville came into our.
I mean, I was the same way until I saw the first couple episodes, and I went,
Right.
oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was after that first episode where it's like, we're going to talk about suicide. It's like, okay.
They came in hard and fast.
And
Yes.
stayed there.
So all this to say
You
that
can almost hear Lamar in the background chuckling at us.
I obviously did not research this because, again, full-time job.
I'll just rub it in.
Sorry. Seth MacFarlane is not the only person creating these stories at this point, right? There's a writer's room. There's other people who are like, yes, you can do that. No, you can't do that. Although clearly things are better now for the creative process or for the creativity of the show being on Hulu rather than being on Fox.
Oh, wait.
So he says.
As of this week, it's now on Disney.
Which is basically what will determine if we get a season 4 of how well it does on Disney Plus. That's where the numbers are really going to matter now.
Okay. Interesting.
At one of our Matthews last night, we watched A Tale of Two Topas. And he's like, do you mind if we watch it on Disney Plus now? I'm like, I don't care. It's like, I want to give him the clicks. It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I rewatch it, that's where I'll do it at.
So all of this to say that the foundation of this is we love the art that is the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
It is saying a lot of important things. It is doing what sci-fi is supposed to do. But this is you can love the art and still have valid criticisms of the artist.
Right.
And you brought this up in conversation. It's like, no, 100%, we need to talk about that.
So I was catching up on episodes because I've been behind. I watched the first one, when we were all ready to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of jumped on it right away, but then I got distracted with other things.
Life.
And other shows.
Yeah.
I still have my TV time.
Sure.
Less now than usual. I just, forgot about the Orville on a week-to-week basis,
Yeah,
and so
because
now
fucking
I've been.
Sandman started in the middle of that. We've got
Yeah.
She-Hulk
I
this
still
week.
haven't
It's
watched.
nuts.
I still haven't started Sandman.
Only Murders has a new season.
Sidebar: the kid that's playing Morpheus
Mm-hmm.
walks, talks, and poses like he was fucking drawn by any number of the artists that drew him.
I've seen like
He's-
images.
Yeah, it
and
looks
stuff,
like
sure.
Sam
Way
Keith. It
younger
looks.
looking than I expect him to be, expect the character to be, but
That's-
otherwise.
That's
I
because
avoid-
it's Neil Gaiman in the comics, and so you're always associating with Sandman should look like whatever Neil Gaiman currently looks like. At least that's what I do.
I should clarify. I only just started reading Sandman,
Mm,
so as to like be able to more better appreciate the show Sandman. So I do not have a lot of strong tie-ins like other
Gotcha.
fans, longtime fans would have.
yeah, I'm amazed. Like every time he just stands or poses, it's like, did Kelly Jones just draw you that way? Is that what happened?
He is kind of perfect though.
Yeah, he. Oh
Just
man,
as a human.
he pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I get it. That there's a lot to take in.
Yeah, so I wasn't
So you got
really,
behind on the Orville.
and so recently, the last week or so, I've been trying to catch up, and I noticed that the new character, whose name I'm now going to not going to remember.
Charlie Burke.
Thank you. The new character, Charlie Brooke, went, wow, they're really like shoehorning her into episodes. Like she's around when she doesn't even necessarily need to be, right? She's getting a lot of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, he's fucking her. And sure enough, like Christian's sitting next to me and he pulls it up and he's like, yep, they're dating.
Oh,
And by they, you mean Seth MacFarlane is
And-
dating his much younger co-star.
Again.
Again.
That same sentence, that entire sentence, again.
Yeah, that would be the actress Ann Winters who plays Ensign Charlie Burke, which is completely different than when Seth MacFarlane was dating Halston Sage, who played Lieutenant Alara Katan in the first season of the Orville.
first 2 seasons.
First two, did she make it through?
She got halfway through season 2, and I don't know if she left because they broke up or why she left the show, but they worked into the show that her race has that heavy gravity.
Yep.
That's why they're so strong. They worked into something where she had a degenerative disease that
She was losing her strength.
it was gonna kill her because her body needs to be able to push back, basically.
With the space version of what's it called? God damn it, it came right out of my head. We know when you come up from
The
the
bends?
ocean to the bends. Thank you.
Mhm.
Right. So how old is this actress? Do we know? Does it say?
I can find out since I have IMDb. IMDb, we would take a sponsorship from you.
There would
Because
like,
we use you all the
Oh,
goddamn
that's
time on
how
the
I
show.
know. She was born in 1994, so that makes her 28.
Sure.
My
Math hard.
high school diploma is older than she is.
And Seth MacFarlane is born in 73.
Yep.
So yeah, could easily be daughter. Like
so
adult
Seth
daughter.
MacFarlane is knocking on the door of 50.
And he does kind of have it. This is kind of his thing.
Yeah.
Because he used to date Amelia Clark.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We've talked about it before when it was Huss and Sage, and now it's another even younger model.
Now,
I think we're gonna get in trouble for being ageist. Like, where's the line between that and yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I don't think the issue is if they are both consenting adults, and if they're into that, great. But
No laws are being.
it
broken
is
here.
weird to be a very high-profile science fiction series that talks about various societal evils and ways to make them better, and they do it in the metaphor of science fiction so that we can take those lessons and try to apply them in the real world while being that guy that dates his younger coworker.
Yeah, and it's not even just the age difference because again, she is a consenting adult.
Mhm.
It's the fact that he is her boss and they work
Yeah.
together.
That's the thing that always seems weird to me, that he is the executive producer.
Yeah.
He didn't write any of these episodes this season. That's the other thing. He has very little writing control on the show anymore. I think he's more of a money person now. But you're right.
And the star of his own.
And the star, yeah. He is the lead and also is the EP on it, with both of which come with considerable power structure. It's up there the same reason why, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that it is not illegal for a college professor to date a of-age student, but it is highly unethical. And most colleges will fire. I'm just saying, but I'm saying it wasn't illegal. Most colleges will still fire your ass for it. Hollywood is never going to take that lesson.
Nope.
Ever.
But it also creates a work environment where dating your coworkers is fine, even when it seems to cause problems. Let's take his other two co-stars, Adrian Pilecki and Scott Grimes, who have been married and divorced twice inside of 2 years.
Yeah, are they still married now, or are they apart again?
No, they divorced again. Like,
so
I knew that
there's a chance.
Twice.
Yes.
I didn't know it was twice.
No, married and divorced twice. Again, they're adults.
How many of those times were between production? Like,
all of this was during COVID.
Yeah.
Both marriages, both divorces during COVID.
They got married right after they wrapped season 2.
Yeah.
And then COVID shut everything down, especially the Orville.
So yeah, again, like, they're not breaking any laws or anything. It's messy as shit.
Yeah, I think that what we are trying to critique here is not individual people and their choices, because they are adults. They can do whatever the hell they want within societal norms. But being that they are also co-workers and celebrities, there is a certain, I don't want to say responsibility, but they should certainly take a look at what they are doing and look at the optics of, like, what does this say to other people? Am I actively contributing to something that is a larger problem?
And I don't have a heart, not to say that, like, I get all my moral guidance from my television or my science fiction, but if the purpose of your science fiction show is trying to emulate the messaging of Star Trek, which is has a lot of, like, moral discussions, I don't know, you're coming off really bad while also trying to hold the high ground, buddy.
Yep.
It's just gross.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the gap keeps getting wider.
Does it? I don't keep. Well, I guess it does.
Well, he keeps getting older, and Ann Winters is a year younger than Halston Sage.
Jesus.
Almost exactly.
That's why she made that comment earlier when I did that.
And Amelia Clark is older than both of them.
But they were dating like 6 years ago or whatever.
Right. So how fucking old is Amelia Clark? Minus 6 years.
Right. I mean,
they keep getting younger.
There was no powers. I guess my big beef, I mean, they're both consenting adults. My always concern would always be the power dynamic.
Yep.
And to my knowledge, I don't think Seth MacFarlane had any control over who got cast in Game of Thrones.
No.
That being said, Seth MacFarlane clearly has a type, and it's young blondes. Or light browns.
Just young. Just increasingly younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I learned all my moral lessons from Star Trek, so.
Yeah, me too. Which is why when I get into a fight, I lead with the two-handed chop and then butt jump attack.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, Amelia Clark was born in 1986, so she's 2 years younger than me. So she was over 36 years ago, but... So that's less weird. That's, you know what, that one's fine. You're 40-something, she's 30-something. Cool, yeah. Totally fine.
And again, like I've pointed out before, there's a 13-year age difference between you and I.
There's a 16-year age gap between me and the man I'm married to.
Right.
So it's not just...
And Merrick's the same age as you are. So, minus leap year.
Right. But you're also not her boss.
No.
Yes.
But yeah, again, age is a weird thing to talk about, especially since the majority of male Americans all have this thing about having an 18-year-old watch. It's like, guys, that's stop doing that. That's gross.
God, I remember when I worked in radio, the station I worked on didn't do it, but we were next to stations that did. Like, literally had the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen countdown, the Miley Cyrus countdown.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fucking creepy.
Yep.
Also, radio's gross, by the way.
I mean, honestly, like, so what Seth MacFarlane is doing is kind of sleazy. When you're actively counting down, I think that you should probably be on some sort of a watch list.
Yes, you should.
Okay, well, again, that's why I wanted to talk about it. I'm like, am I just being like judgmental?
No,
it bothers me.
No, and it's not the age thing. It is the power dynamic, and it's that he seems to kind of goes through girlfriends the same way like Dutch Brothers or Menudo goes through people. You hit a certain age and you're fucking out. Nobody over 25 works Dutch Brothers unless you're a manager.
Which is sleazy. It's
Menudo.
Gross. And
that's what you meant. Okay.
No, not the soup, the band.
I also thought you meant the soup, and I thought you meant the coffee, as it goes right through you.
Oh,
like,
go for it. It's hard. Their coffee goes right through you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's mainly just sugar, and goes and gives money to a guy that wants to usurp tribal power in Oregon by opening his own casinos.
Yeah, Dutch Brothers, we aren't interested in your
sponsorship
at all.
Pass.
I don't even go for my free birthday one anymore, and I rarely turn down a free birthday coffee. I don't want yours.
Go at all.
Sid, I just don't.
Yeah.
No, I think it's an important topic because I think, especially the higher profile that the Orville gets, if it does end up with a 4th season on Disney, and people who watch the show should be aware of these things and think about this. And it doesn't mean they need to be shitty to Seth MacFarlane or to Ann Winters. It means that they should be cognizant that these things occur and not just idolize the things.
Right. But I mean, like, where/how do you separate the artist from the art? If this concept and the stories that he wants to tell, or the general idea of the stories that he wants to tell, are not super in line with.
I think because he's not.
With him being
weird.
Creep.
He's not breaking any laws, which I know doesn't necessarily make things better or worse. From what we all know, and we are all being commentators on the outside.
Of course.
God damn it, what's her name? Ann
Winters.
Ann Winters, for what we know, is also not being treated poorly. Is not being coerced into it.
That would know.
You guys have not watched enough of the season.
Sorry.
Things happen.
Okay.
Her character goes through some shit. That's all I'll say. I mean, they all go through some shit, so that isn't really a spoiler.
I've figured that they were going through some shit. I didn't think that the character of Charlie Burke, the way you've talked about her, the way she's just kind of forced into the position, she is specifically supposed to be the voice of everyone else in the union and their reaction to the Kalon.
Right.
So, like, narratively, I don't question why she's there or why she's being pushed so much.
Right.
At least as far as that goes, there are things where it's like, she's the best pilot in the fleet. She's the best. I'm like, okay, that's a bit much.
Yeah. And then
she's not the best pilot. She has that 4th dimensional thinking that very few organic people have.
Yeah.
She thinks 4th dimensionally.
And they brought her onto on that mission, that diplomatic mission. I don't want to give too much away for anyone else who isn't caught up.
I mean, I guess that also means that she's essentially Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, because what's his name is the helmsman's technically the best pilot in the fleet.
Yeah, Gordon is. Gordon is a fantastic pilot. I
my God.
really enjoy what Scott Grimes has done with
Have
that
you-
character.
Guys, gotten to the time travel episode?
Nope, I have. Like I said, I just watched Tale of Two Topas.
And
It sounds
that's
like
my next one up.
yeah.
on my
So you just
queue.
watched the Krill Homeworld episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the one where I'm like, they're really giving her a lot of airtime, dialogue,
Yep.
just opportunities.
It
And maybe if she wasn't such a negative element, and I do get why you need to have that,
Mhm.
I might not have questioned like, wow, she's in this a lot all of a sudden for a brand new character. And to your comment that there's a reason that she is that element.
Mhm.
Any character could have been that. Any existing character in the show could have filled that role.
It would have been a harder reach.
yeah, I get the only character I could think of that it would work with. Like you can't do it to Claire Finn. You can't do it to Penny Johnson.
Mm-mm.
Right.
She's got her own issues she's going to deal with Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to make it Kelly Grayson,
No.
Palicki's character. Doesn't make sense to make it Mercer, for obvious reason. It's not going to make sense to make it Bortus.
No.
Because he's already been dealt with the fact that like he's dealing with a lot of shit. The only one that kind of works with, and they touch on a little bit, is Lamar, and he's come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they wrote it that way. They've already,
yeah, the only one I see it working with would have been Talia, the new security.
It also worked a little bit with Gordon.
Yeah, I get that, but I get why you bring in a new character to do this role.
Mm-hmm.
And she does have an evolution. I don't want to say more, but she definitely has an evolution of the character.
I'm curious to see how I'll feel about it by the time I get there.
Yeah.
I don't think your feelings personally are going to change about the real life situation, but you won't, because I didn't like the character much either. I found her very abrasive because I just was like, I guess I just didn't want to have to sit through a character of like his people killed everybody, and even though he clearly did everything he could to stop it, I'm still gonna fucking hate him anyway. Like that trope is boring to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get it for maybe an episode or two. I don't know. It's like
I guess also the fact that from episode 1, we're getting all of these really strong feelings from a character who's not a main character. We never met her until this new season, but all of a sudden we really care about how upset she is.
Yeah, and they kind of gloss over the quote roommate also of hers who dies in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
They give you more later on, but it's pretty obvious the first time she talks about her. It's like, oh no, you were in love with her. You guys were meant to be together, and now she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's talked about her old friend already.
I guess I must not have picked up on this.
Oh, that was in the first episode.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then I forgot.
Yeah, she explains why she hates the Kalon so much.
Yeah.
Because she's in love with her. Okay.
Well, she talks about, I lost my best friend, and you realize, I even realized that first episode of like, yeah, you wanted her to be more than your friend, and you never acted on it, and now it's too fucking late. So you're also dealing with your own guilt of not saying how you truly felt about this woman.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But then that, I don't know. I feel like that makes it worse that she has figured out what the real problem is, but she's still really kind of.
Well, that's what I mean is the issue is they never bring that back up. It's referenced. I don't want to say a lot. It is referenced one more time.
Okay.
But I think a part of her growth had included the fact of like, I'm also mad at you because you reminded me that I didn't do what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Losing her still would have sucked, but at least everything that needed to be said between us would have been said.
All right.
And they never get to that. But that being said, don't let that discredit this season. This season has been, and you guys aren't done with Topa. Like,
I didn't
was
think we
wondering
would.
when we would get back to that, because we talked about that after we all watched the first episode. Is whatever happened with Topa and.
No, after A Tale of Two Topa, there's another one. There's another Topa-centric episode that. Yeah.
There's also a lot of yelling in A Tale of Two Topas.
Yelling?
Is it
yeah.
Daddy and Daddy are yelling?
Oh yeah, it's ugly.
Yeah,
you haven't seen Tale of Two Topas yet?
No,
she has.
Oh, okay.
She just watched the Krill episode.
Oh, I'm God. I messed it up.
Yeah.
That Krill episode was brutal too.
Yes, it was.
Hi, we're gonna show you what you could have had in a
that
hologram.
one was really on the nose.
It's like, geez.
Yeah, that covered everything
Minimal
from the
nuance.
election to abortion. Then to top it off with, oh, by the way, here's your kid.
Yeah.
What? That was the hard left turn for me, where I just sat there going, what did you just do?
Yeah. And I'm not going to say more. The only reason why I really fucking need a season 4 is there are so many threads that happen. They tie up some things really well, but they have created so many threads in this season that it will be like a crime
Yeah, I can see
to
that.
not flesh them out because more shit goes down. Way more shit goes down.
Jeez.
But it's good. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, there is not a... The first couple episodes have under an 8 rating on IMDb. The rest of them all have an 8+. I don't believe the 7.9 on Tale of Two Tubas. I'm like, no, that feels like that's shitty dude bros downvoting something.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to fully trust
internet
voting.
Does that mean, have you guys seen yet the one about, where that future entity makes them experience fear?
That's the mortality paradox.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one was cool.
It's so that they can experience fear and death. The feeling that of what you feel right before death. That was a weird fucking episode.
The one thing they haven't touched on, and Adriana Palicki has hinted at this in interviews, this is an altered timeline.
What?
From season 2, when Kelly had a chance to reset her life, and she still made some changes.
Oh God, that's right.
This is like that TNG episode where Picard's set in the past, and the closer he comes to the present is where the disaster comes.
Mm-hmm.
And he regains more and more consciousness as he comes back to that. Yeah, this is like a slightly altered timeline that Kelly created.
That's true.
And
I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was also tied into the Kalon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, it's fun.
It still gets back to the fact that this is not the show I ever thought we were going to have these conversations about.
No. I think it's much stronger for it.
Yep. But yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to keep watching it. I'm still invested in what's happening. It's just been some weirdness.
So overall, enjoy what you want to enjoy.
Yeah.
Find the things that are out there that are great. But if the people behind it are doing some questionable shit, it is okay. You are not doing the art wrong by calling out the artist for questionable behavior.
Yeah, and so far he hasn't done something that makes me not want to watch his stuff anymore.
Sure.
He's no Roman Polanski.
That was the name that popped into my head too.
Yeah.
Also, fuck Roman Polanski.
Yes.
I still don't get people that are like, well...
He should come back to the U.S. and go to jail.
Yeah. Even if the woman no longer holds... She's been on interviews saying, I no longer hold any ill will to him.
Still
I don't care. Still a crime. Yeah.
Yep.
She could have gotten over it. What he
doesn't
owes
make
to
it fine.
society has not gotten over
It
it.
doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, right.
That's just for her personal journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
that
we
feels
can't
very
end the
much
show
like...
on a Roman Polanski comment. We gotta do something fun. Space
Well,
hamsters.
Next week...
Shit, yeah.
Next week, the 23rd, we are going to have a special guest. We talked about this last week, Witch Hunt Theater.
Yes.
The Witch Hunt Theater troupe performed at the Ghosts of Summer, the Halloween convention we went to.
Mm-hmm.
So we lined up an interview with the creative director, Taylor Stark. So she'll be joining us remotely and to talk about Death Race, which is their project
Super
for September. We have to do it.
We
I
do.
know.
We need to get a team sorted.
Yep. We need 3 more people.
Yeah.
I really think we need to do a team
6.
6. Yeah. But yeah, look them up on IMDb, on Instagram, Witch Hunt Theater, Theater RE.
Mhm.
not ER.
Fancy theater.
Fancy theater. They are an immersive, site-specific performance troupe, and they love working in horror. So
there are people.
they're
Horror.
I
wanky
want to
theater
audition
nerds.
for them so fucking bad.
You should find out how first. I know schedules make it hard, but
this is true. But I can ask.
Right.
So I just want to scare people again. I just want to scare people professionally. That's all I want to do. But yeah, we've got that coming up. We are awaiting word back from Gwen and Brian. They've had a whirlwind summer as well.
They're not done yet.
And they're not
guessing they'll be at Emerald City this weekend.
Yep.
They'll probably be at Rose City in a couple weeks. So.
Yes, they will. But they.
Oh shit! And Dragon Con.
Oh good God.
Oh yeah, no, it's Emerald City, Dragon Con, 1 week off, Rose City.
So, but they're still doing the HP Lovecraft Film Fest, so we're trying to work with them so that we can get some guests lined up for September.
Yep.
In October, we're going to talk to a bunch of other horror people. Our first guest for October, well, not our first guest, the first guest that's replied to us and said, yes, I want to be on the show. We met back in July, and that's Alex Spieth, director of Stag.
Yeah.
Her first feature film that is a horror comedy. Fucking hilarious.
And drinker of many beers with us at Dogs.
Oh my God, she's great.
She's great.
She's a lot of fun. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. That's going to be a whole episode of we're just going to sit around bullshitting about horror movies. So
yeah, we'll make sure she plugs her movie, but we're just going to nerd out for 90 minutes or whatever. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So, and those are just the first of many that we're trying to line up and bring you new horror content. It is spooky season. It's officially spooky season.
And yet again, I feel like I'm Bernie Sanders. I am yet again asking you, if you have a place that you think is haunted and you would allow us to do an overnight investigation
at night,
let us know. And overnight, we would have to be there all night. You can also be there, but know that it is overnight at that location.
This is not a suggestion of like, oh, this place has done that. Do you have access to this? Is this your place? No.
Then don't recommend it.
Okay.
Unless you know them and you can ask them to reach
My
us.
friend Bob owns a bed and breakfast, and he would love it. It's haunted, and he would love to have you come out and do your whole haunting thing. That's what we're looking for.
Yes.
Only volunteer other people to this with their consent.
Yes.
Correct.
We're big on consent on this show.
Yeah.
And in life in general.
Yes. So, yes, gitcradio@gmail.com or literally any of our socials. Like, we're all really easy to find.
This is true.
Yeah. It's not like I couldn't find you on so. Yes, you can.
All of my profiles are still public.
Yeah. So are mine. I mean, they always have been.
Mine aren't, but I should change that. But people still find me, is the point.
No, you shouldn't. Mine was only public because I was in a public location, and now it's still public out of default, but...
Right.
Yep. I don't always recommend it.
Yeah.
It's good to have a boundary.
It brings out the fun. Also,
funk.
I'm going to do... Maybe I'll do it this week. I'll have to build up the courage to do it. But I'm going to do, with Season of the Bruja, the same thing Mason Alexander Park did when they were trying to get the role of Desire in Sandman.
Start tweeting it.
They just tweeted to at Neil Gaiman like, I need to be in this show. I don't care what it takes. I need to be your Desire. I need to just be like, hey, at Neil Gaiman, you need to read Season of the Bruja. I've got a copy for you. I will send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CC Lin-Manuel Miranda just for the hell of it.
We approve.
Yeah, I know. Every time I bring it up, though, like other pros, someone like it's super like tacky to do that. I'm like, well, just because you guys have more contacts than I do. Hustle. I know we're tangentially connected, like 3 degrees of Neil Gaiman.
You're not 3 degrees.
2?
Yeah.
You and then him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just saying.
Or Mike.
Yeah.
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 You are far less than. Yeah. We are like 2 degrees away from most of Hollywood.
Oh, I know. Look what it's gotten us.
We also don't capitalize on that because
No.
that is not why we are friends with people.
Yeah, that gets frustrating.
But yeah.
Well, think about the friends who do capitalize on who you know.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant by it gets frustrating.
So don't be that person.
And besides,
I mean, you aren't.
No, I know.
I don't know. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but like, I don't know that I agree with comics professionals to say, no, that's tacky. No, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, ask Steve. If Steve thinks it's tacky, it might be tacky. Otherwise,
And I don't think he thinks it does.
no, he doesn't.
Finally, before we sign off, I just want to say Luis Guzman looks fucking fantastic as Gomez Adams.
Is that who they're casting?
Fangoria released the picture today because Catherine Zeta-Jones was cast as Morticia a while ago. He looks like a comic Gomez Adams. So I'm excited. It's for the Wednesday series. So I'm pretty pumped for that, at least for now.
Cool.
With that being said, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Bean Rita.
And I'm Kibble Hashitani.
And this has been Geek in the City Radio coming to you live from Guardian Games.
Ooh.
Talk to everybody next week.